Hello everyone and welcome to the course of Energy Engineering. I am Swapnil Prakash Avte, working as an Associate Professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering of Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samaj, Karmavir Advocate Bhaurao Ganpatrao Thakre, College of Engineering, Nashik. We are learning Unit 1, that is Introduction and Thermal Power Plants. In previous lectures, we learned about the energy scenario in the world, in India and in Maharashtra. In this lecture, we will start with the topic of thermal power plant. Thermal power plant is a closed cycle in which coal is used as a fuel and water is used as a working substance. Coal is supplied into the boiler and through combustion the chemical energy in the coal is converted into the heat energy and large amount of heat is released through combustion. Air is required for the combustion and after the combustion we get ash and flue gases. Working substance is water which is supplied by the feed pump, enters into the boiler, it absorbs heat energy from the combustion of the coal and the water is converted into superheated steam. This high pressure and high temperature steam enters into the turbine where it is expanded. During the expansion of the steam, thermal energy of the steam is converted into the mechanical energy through the series of turbines, and this mechanical energy is obtained at the output shaft of the turbine. Mechanical energy of the turbine shaft is converted into the electrical energy with the help of an alternator. The steam at the outlet of the turbine has very low enthalpy in it and it is close to saturated steam. This steam enters into a heat exchanger called as condenser. In condenser, the temperature of the steam is further reduced with the help of cooling water. The saturated steam is converted into saturated water at the outlet of the condenser. That brings in picture one more water circuit called as cooling water circuit. The water which is used for cooling the steam increases its own temperature, and that water need to be cooled in cooling tower with the help of natural or forced convection. The saturated water at the outlet of the condenser is further supplied to the feed pump and the cycle continues. This is the general layout of a thermal power plant. We can also call it as a simple layout of a thermal power plant because the modern thermal power plant is quite complicated, and that we will see in the next slide. It should be noted that there are several circuits in a thermal power plant, and understanding these circuits will make it easier to understand the thermal power plant. These circuits are fuel circuit, air circuit, feed water circuit, ash circuit and steam circuit. In order to increase the efficiency of a thermal power plant, several modifications are there and several additional devices are incorporated in it called as economizer, air preheater, superheater, and several techniques such as reheating and regeneration are used to increase the efficiency. This is a modern thermal power plant and we have to understand it from the perspective of a simple thermal power plant. So we can locate a boiler over here. Hot air enters into the boiler. The coal is supplied to the boiler. After the combustion of the coal, we get ash, and that ash goes to the ash handling plant. The flue gases go to the chimney of the thermal power plant, but before it is released into the chimney, the flue gases passes through three more heat exchangers which are called as superheater, economizer and air preheater, and they are arranged in this order only. Now let us understand role of each heat exchanger in this circuit. The other fluid in the superheater is the steam coming out from the boiler. So flue gases increases the temperature of this steam further so that more work can be obtained from this steam in turbine. In economizer, the second fluid is feed water. So flue gases increases the temperature of this feed water so that the amount of fuel required to raise the temperature of the water will be less in the boiler. Further, the second fluid in air preheater is hot air, which is supplied from the forced draft fan. The flue gases passing through air preheater increases the temperature of hot air, which helps in better combustion of the coal. So these three devices help in increasing the overall efficiency of a thermal power plant. Let us see some of the criteria for the site selection of a thermal power plant. The first and most important criteria is availability of water. Water is required for two purposes. Although thermal power plant is a closed cycle, some water will be always lost within the cycle and we need to provide makeup water. Moreover, we will always require cooling water which are driving the condensers. So availability of water is very important for working of a thermal power plant. So you will always see a thermal power plant is commissioned near a river or a large water body. Lot of ash is liberated into the environment, into the climate in a thermal power plant, and therefore the site should be such that it should be downwind of a populated area so that these ash particles should not go into the populated regions. Similarly, in older power plants, the wastages were discharged into the water currents. So it was important to locate the thermal power plant downstream of the populated area so that water should not get contaminated. Availability of fuel and transportation is obvious criteria for the site selection to reduce the transportation cost. The sufficient amount of land should be available for the scope of extension and maintenance. The power plant should be located centrally within its power distribution zone so that transmission losses, electricity transmission losses can be kept minimum. Ash disposal for coal-fired power plant is important site selection criteria. The power plant should have very good rail and road connectivity for fuel transmission. Security considerations around the site should be taken care of for the security of the power plant itself. And power plants should not be located in environmentally sensitive areas. As we have seen, around 73% of electricity generation in India takes place from coal-based thermal power plants. It becomes very important to study about the coal. Coal may be of four types, which is peat, lignite, bituminous and anthracite. Between lignite and bituminous lies a category called subbituminous, and between bituminous and anthracite lies one more category which is called as subanthracite. Let us look at the difference in formation of these ranks of the coal and difference between them. When the plant remains get buried in the land for several hundreds of years, they are subjected to decomposition and the product is brownish black material which is called as peat. Peat is the very primitive type of the coal. Actually, in some literatures it is not referred as coal, it is not referred even as a coal. When peat is buried in the crust of the earth For a longer period of time, it is subjected to heat and pressure for a longer period of time and it turns into lignite. Lignite is also called as brown coal. It has got low heat content, low sulfur content, and its supply is limited in most of the area. When lignite remains buried in the crust of the earth for further longer period of the time, it is subjected to more temperature and pressure and it turns lignite into bituminous coal, which has around 80% of carbon. Bituminous coal is called as soft coal. It is extensively used as a fuel because of its high heat content and large supply. It normally has high sulfur content. When bituminous coals remain buried in the crust of the earth for few more hundreds of years under the action of very high temperature and pressure condition, it is converted into anthracite, which is the hardest form of the coal. Anthracite is highly desirable fuel because of its high heat content, low sulfur content, and its supplies are limited in most areas. By understanding formation of these types of coals, we also understand that they are available at different burial depth. Peat is available at a shallow depth, whereas anthracite rank of the coal is available at a very high depth in the crust of the earth. We can also make out that as the rank of the coal increases from peat to anthracite, its moisture content decreases, whereas its heating value and carbon content goes on increasing, which means moisture content and heating value are inversely proportional to each other. The graph on the left hand side is showing comparison of coal ranks by proximate analysis. It is a chemical analysis to determine the percentage of various constituents in different ranks of the coal. Three major constituents in any coal is fixed carbon, volatile matter and moisture. It can be observed that the fixed carbon content in lignite is lowest, whereas it is highest in anthracite. The percentage of volatile matter also goes on decreasing as the rank of the coal increases. That doesn't mean that anthracite is the only coal that is required for combustion. For any combustion, any device which is combusting the coal, anthracite will result in highest heating value, but it is very difficult to start burning of anthracite since it has got very little volatile matter in it. Volatile matter is one constituent which is important to start the combustion of the coal. So as far as start of combustion is concerned, the bituminous and lignite are more desirable ranks of the coals. Therefore, in any combustion devices, blending of lignite, bituminous and anthracite coal is used. Let us see the graph on the right hand side. On y-axis we have percentage of fixed carbon and on the x-axis we have gross calorific value expressed in kilojoule per kg. So basically it is indicating that as the calorific value increases the rank of the coal, we get the higher rank of the coal. And from the graph it can also be seen that as the percentage of carbon in a coal, fixed carbon in a coal increases, its calorific value increases. We can identify the calorific value of lignite coal, which stands at around 16,000 kilojoule per kg. The calorific value of bituminous coal is close to 30,000 kilojoule per kg, and the calorific value of anthracite coal is somewhere around 37 kilojoule per kg. Out of total world resources of the coal, around 47% is low rank coal, whereas 53% is high rank coal. High rank coal is obviously having higher carbon content and heating value and lower moisture content. Let us see their application in various sectors of the industry. Out of low rank coal, 17% is lignite and 30% is subbituminous coal. Lignite coals are used largely in power generation. Subbituminous coal is used in power generation as well as in cement manufacturing and other industrial applications. Out of total hard coal, 52% is bituminous coal and only 1% is anthracite coal. Bituminous coal can be further divided into thermal and metallurgical coal. Thermal coal is used in power generation, cement manufacturing and other industrial application. Metallurgical coal is used in manufacturing of iron and steel. Anthracite coal is having limited application in domestic and industrial usage. This table shows world proven reserves of the coal according to various regions. It can be seen that Asia Pacific has almost 46.5% of proven reserves of the coal. As far as individual countries are concerned, United States and China has the highest reserve of coal, standing at 22.1 and 21.4% of total share of the world. Let us see some of the processes associated with the coal before it is used for combustion in thermal power plant. The first process is coal blending. Coal fired power plants are designed to burn coal with definite characteristics, and these characteristics are obtained by blending different ranks of the coals. Commonly, coals that are cost effective are delivered to the plant. High quality coal is not always available in large quantities, that's why coal blending is required. And as we have also seen, only high quality coal is not sufficient for the combustion. We require some low rank coal as well to initiate the combustion. However, over the time, accessibility of coals change and thermal plants must do with the coals that are available with them. The required characteristics are achieved by blending coal of different quality, keeping the overall cost low. Different blending techniques are available depending upon whether the coal blending takes place at the coal quarry or the coal mine, or whether the blending is taking place at the thermal power plant. Blending in advance is a technique which is used at the coal mines, whereas blending in demand is the technique used at the thermal power station. Next process to which the coal is subjected is called as coal beneficiation. Coal beneficiation is a mechanical process in which crushed coal is passed through water. You can refer this figure for this process. There is a cylindrical drum where a perforated deck is there on which raw coal is stored. Water passes through this deck. As this deck is perforated, water can pass through it, but coal cannot pass through it. Sulfur is separated out by difference in specific gravity between coal and sulfur. So whatever coal is obtained on top of this deck after several pulses of water has passed through it, clean coal is obtained at the top, and at the bottom of this stack, discarded coal, whatever coal is remained at the bottom of this stack is discarded, since it will be containing the sulfur. Why sulfur has to be removed, we will understand in detail when we will see the environmental impacts, but at this point of the time you can remember that any traces of sulfur available in the coal will result in the pollutant called as sulfur dioxide. So it is important to remove the sulfur from the coal before it is put into the combustion chamber. Two basic processes of coal beneficiation are dry deshelling, in which non-coal or shaly coal is removed without using any liquid media. Second is wet process, in which coal is crushed to smaller size, put in a liquid media of adjustable specific gravity to separate the lighter coal, which is having low ash, from heavier coal, which is having high ash. The rejects from wet process also contain carbonaceous material. Benefits of beneficiation are saving in transportation cost by not transporting the dirt material over long distances, saving in capital and operating cost of power plants, regulating the quality of coal feed, reduce the ash content, and lower specific secondary oil consumption. Some of the important properties of the coals are swelling index, which is measure of increase in volume of coal when heated under specified conditions, and it is tested as per standards such as ASTM D720 or ISO 335. Another property is weatherability. It is the slow disintegration of coal in stockpiles under the action of weather. Now, weather can have different actions, that due to very high temperature or due to the moisture in the climate. Grindability is ease of pulverizing a coal sample compared to certain reference coals. Now, coal is pulverized before it is put into the combustion chamber. So, grindability of a coal should be as high as possible, because it should be easy to pulverize. Weatherability should be as low as possible, and swelling index should also be as low as possible. The next two properties of the coal are sulfur content and ash content, which are self-explanatory. The sulfur content of the coal should be as low as possible, as well as ash content of the coal should also be as low as possible. This brings us to the quiz of this particular lecture. Which is the most important requirement of site selection of the thermal power plant, and which is the highest grade of the coal? You are expected to answer these quiz questions before the next lecture. Answers to the quiz questions of the last lecture: which is the largest capacity government and private plant in Maharashtra? So the largest capacity government plant is Chandrapur Supal Thermal Power Plant, located at Chandrapur. The largest private power plant in Maharashtra is Tirona Thermal Power Station in Gondia, which is owned by Adani Group. The next question was, explain the concept of carbon credits. So it should have an elaborate answer, but in a nutshell, it is a policy adopted by the countries across the globe as per Kyoto Protocol, which is for encouragement to adopt environmental friendly practices. Thank you.